So, knowing your audience, I was walking down here and you said that yesterday, that was really becoming to your mind, and I was thinking, yes, good, because really much the audience does determine everything. So I have a bunch of pictures up here. And I want us to think about our educational experience. And I want you to pick one or two, or let's say two, one that's positive part of our educational background, and one that is negative. Pick a picture that's positive and one that's negative. Who would like to go first?
I looked at the cactus and I thought, yeah, it was prickly.
There you go, that's great.
But then the guy with the rounders bat or the baseball bat.
Okay, yeah, up here.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love sport.
Yeah, there you go. That's great. Anybody else?
Positive book one. Second.
This one?
Third one, yeah. I love studying books, and honestly, like, there are times when, like, after like a month of like being in classes, I start to get if a teacher is good or not, or if I like their teaching style, and so sometimes I would just tune out and read the textbook that they're teaching on.
Yeah.
I understand that a lot more.
Yeah.
And then negative, probably something like probably the microscope with the bug.
Mm-hmm.
Getting too much into, like, it's weird. Now I'm really into systems, but in school I was really against systems and science and figuring out like the direct way things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm much more into it, I think, because I've had better teachers. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Anybody else? Next.
For me, the good one would be the arrow on the bullseye.
Mm-hmm.
Just you got what you were aiming for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then on the far right, the trash can as bad.
Mm-hmm.
Trash is just
Trash.
disposable bad.
Right. Right. Good. Thank you.
I would do I think it's a rock with drawings on it.
Oh, this one.
Yeah. I think maybe,
Cave art.
okay, yeah. But also just maybe think of art in general.
Yeah.
Then also history.
Uh-huh.
I like history and also art.
Yeah.
So I think it's my background. And then I went to the calculator because it's my new graphic calculators. And then the hard math classes,
Yeah.
which was like challenging for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never mastered it.
Yeah. Totally. Gosh. A positive one for me was trees. In 8th grade, we had a science teacher who taught us trees, and I was so into it. And I loved identifying trees. I still do. First thing I asked Marnie was, "Hey, what's that tree?" He's like, "I don't know, wood." And so obviously he's not into trees. But anyway, so that I just have always been into identifying. Obviously there's other things that were good, but I would say I'm going to put the clock, because I just was, it was like, I can't wait to get out of here. Because I didn't relate to, I wasn't math person. I actually wanted to be. I think I really like language and so on, or like the words, English words and so on, but yeah, so Anyway, the reason we're looking at this is because I tried to look at the positive, because there are positives, but there's the negatives really bring what I call, here's a wall, an educational barrier, okay? And we kind of need to recognize that we have educational barriers that have been built up. Some people more than others. You might have one. So, and I ended up teaching somebody recently who never went to school as well. He's from Texas, and his parents were missionaries for a while, and so I think he's had some education like through homeschools, but he didn't get a GED, he didn't graduate from high school, and so he totally thinks he's stupid, right? And so what happens is that every time I get in, he's in Montana, and every time I'm with him, I'm like very careful about like, because I asked questions like, what's your background and da-da-da. He just went through staff intake, and I was like, okay, I can't ask him what his favorite subjects were in school, because he doesn't have school. So what are your favorite subjects? And it was like outdoor stuff and survival stuff, and like he's really good at it, and he loves music, so that was great. But it's like I had to be careful how I presented that, and actually I'm like, Lord, we need to help him understand that he's actually really smart. He's very smart. He doesn't have the certificate. Doesn't matter. He's doing great. But it's important for us to understand that people come with these educational barriers. And so when they're looking glazed at you, it's not because it's more probably from their issues and background and bad experiences with teachers and so on. All right? And that's why learning styles are so important, because we are bridging that gap, and you were saying you're important and the way that you're made is great and valuable. Okay? So finally, we're going into learning styles. This is actually on your the handout that Charlotte sent you the day before yesterday. But would someone read this out loud for us?
There is a considerable body of research evidence suggesting that many special education students who have been formally categorized, for example, as learning disabled, are in fact not LD students per se, but assessed and taught incorrectly in terms of their dominant learning style. Perhaps a more positive way of describing their LD is that they simply learn differently.
All right, paradigm shift. All right, so learning styles. We're going to be going over all these different types. So the first one is how we receive information and how we take it in. I have already been talking about this a lot today. Modalities, that's the visual, that's the auditory, that's the auditory, visual, auditory, tactile, and kinesthetic, which are kind of together, all right? We're going to look much more at it. We're also going to look at how we process and store information. We have a right brain dominance and a left brain dominance. So we're going to look at that today. How we think and problem solve, convergent or divergent, and how we problem solve and utilize information, which is multiple intelligences, which we might be looking at tomorrow. Okay? Unless we can get through some of it, we'll start. All right. Sorry, this is all double animated. So the first one is visual. And what I'd like you to do is look at it's this first page here. It's actually on your handouts. What I want to say is this was written for Titus, so you've already seen this probably. No, you haven't done Titus. I keep thinking you've done Titus. So this is actually created for Titus. Amy Stevens did this. She's extremely detailed, and so if you're like, what do I need to do for a visual person? Well, here she is. They learn best by visual aids, charts and diagrams, and visual presentation of material. And they study by watching a process, reading materials, taking notes or highlighting, underlying using color. All right? She has everything on here, and that's what I gave you so that you can look at it. The second one is auditory, and the third one is the kinesthetic tactile. So here's a picture. Oh, they're all double. Here's an eye, visual. Here's an ear. And here's kinesthetic. And we're going to talk about these in this thing from here. So, all right. When you think of visual, I asked you earlier, what are things that you can do that are visual just off the top of your head? PowerPoint, exactly. Now, have you noticed something about my PowerPoints? They've got pictures. Do they have a lot of words? There's a reason why. Because, except for that quote, it's because too much overwhelms and it distracts away. And that's the only reason I say that. I'm trying to do this as making a point, and I don't want you to get so distracted that you're not listening to me. That's the only reason. So, and if you go and study all about PowerPoints, you're going to see the same thing. So, yeah. So you just need to be careful on that. So you can't overstimulate with visual, is what I'm saying. In fact, when you go somewhere new, like when you go on outreach and you're going in a new city, it is so, by the end of the first day, you're exhausted. How come? Because you are taking in all this information that's coming to you, and it's exhausting because you're doing that. Or an art gallery. You go to an art gallery, and you're going to go and see all this art. How do you feel after at the end? Exhausted, right? Actually, I went to the Louvre. Yep. Cool. And I was told by a man before I went in, he said he was a doctorate in art history. And he said, don't go in and see everything. Find out what's in there and pick what you want to see. So, okay, I want to go see Mona Lisa. I want to see some Rembrandts and the Victoria sculpture. So that's basically what I did. Because otherwise you are so, like, there's too much. It's, and you can't take it all in. You need lots of time to do art galleries. So, because it takes so much, it actually takes so much. So that's why you have to be careful. Never thought about that before. So there you go. That's new.
Yeah, the rest of my group did the whole Louvre and the Monet Museum right next to it.
Yes, I've done that
And
too.
when they went to the Louvre, I just went to the Monet because I was like, it's all the same type, it's all the same style.
Yes.
I'll enjoy this. And then the next day, when they went to the Louvre, I went to the Louvre. But they like tried doing it all in one day. I was just like, I can't do that. Especially because the Louvre's broken up in like all the time periods.
Yep.
And areas.
Chronology,
And
yeah,
it's just
chronology,
like,
yep.
You're looking through like the
History.
whole world and 500 years of the whole world.
Well, the British Museum is like that. It's crazy. It's the same.
I did it in one day.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't join it still, so, but I wish, I learned a while ago, or a few years ago, like how to actually look at art. And
Yeah.
just like sit down and look at it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I'd known that then, but
Right.
I still enjoyed it.
Yeah. Right. Well, I had studied art history. I mean, I was an art major, so I studied art history, and so I knew certain paintings, and so I wanted to see those certain paintings. So that's why I did that. So that's interesting. So funny. Anyway, visual. Okay, so PowerPoint. You said we can have PowerPoint. What else can we have?
Videos.
Videos. Yes. Good. Videos are great. And actually, that's nice because it brings in kinesthetic as well. Sorry?
Maps.
Maps. Yes, maps. Something I've been using a little bit too. Whiteboard. Okay, I'm going to take a moment. When you're writing on here, you don't want to put your hand like this, what happens? You just get smudgy and dirty and gross. When we write on a board, don't think of it as handwriting. You know, when you're writing handwriting, you're just using your wrist and your hand, right? But when you're writing on a board, you put that action into your shoulder. So when I was taught as elementary ed teacher, you use your shoulder. You're using your shoulder to write as opposed to your hand. So this becomes just a rigid stick. You're going like this. So that will help you on your writing. There you go, a little tip.
And don't erase it sideways.
And don't erase it sideways.
It's oh yeah, because if you're doing this way,
Oh, yes.
the body shakes.
It looks very silly. Yes,
Down.
right.
I had a teacher that would erase as they went, so we
Not-
didn't spend all the time.
Right, awesome. Sorry, I'm sorry. I was.
No, he would write with his right hand and then erase with his left, so we wouldn't focus on taking the notes, but rather hearing him.
What's the point of putting it up?
I don't know, it was really difficult. And it was just like...
Yes, how did you feel?
So like by the time he got to visual, he had already erased burning, and it was like, okay.
What's the point of writing it up there then?